I'm so excited to have a reading with you, just for someone who even understands like that there may be an asteroid belt and that it may exert some sort of cosmic or galactic influence.
Yeah.
Like in and of itself, that scientific phenomena, most people are just like not even aware of that science or something.
Or it's like they're taking what the mass like science community wants you to believe, and so you're not like thinking beyond or like reading between the lines of what they're presenting. I do think it's interesting that some scientists even kind of like come to the conclusion that it was a planet that exploded in some capacity, but they don't want to like,
Yes.
100% claim that.
Yeah,
but
like I've gone back for my book, and the Titus Bohr principle of 1783, both of these early astronomers hypothesized that the divine maker would not leave the space in his divine order blank.
mm-hmm.
And that was sort of their analytical perspective, but now this dispulsion theory as a physics phenomena also contributes to an understanding of the positioning of Ceres, of what would have been hypothesized as Maldek and this moon Maluna.
Mm-hmm.
And, this idea that we would have, there would have been a planet there within an order based on planets, exponentially positioned, radiating outward.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think like the whole lore or this like the story with the asteroid belt and like the planet that it was prior to being what it is now is kind of this almost like foreshadowing of like where our Earth could potentially be going if things continue to be developing in this more kind of like physical obsessed like technology based external reality that we kind of live in as a Western society especially. But so it's
Yes.
like consuming resources to the point that the Earth will get to a similar state that like Maldek got to, where it gets compromised in some form or another, either by its own undoing or from like outside forces exploding it. But it's just this concept of creating an energy in our planet that is more like might is right versus like being able to actually listen to what's happening to the Earth and working with it as one of its species living on it.
I think you're uniquely positioned to understand the concept because you work with natal charts. And if you
Yeah.
it's circular, almost like a galactic round, like a galactic compass, if that's what a natal chart is, it can become a model to replicate, the point of a single planet or a single person within a cosmic order. And that's how we can say the asteroid belt may have looked different at some time because of the positions of these other points within a whole. And just to understand the incredible magic in one person's natal chart, I think is to unlock a compass to understanding the whole galactic order. And that such a bigger conversation than, was it or wasn't a planet. It's we're all part of one solar system, and we have to understand that we're actually working together.
Yeah. It's as above, so below, and I think looking at natal charts and understanding them like gets your mind working in a more of a cosmic level. So you start thinking in bigger scopes, and I think with that exercise of thinking bigger, you kind of start getting natural truths from the cosmos. Yeah. So one thing I noticed about your chart, speaking of series, is it's conjunct your Lilith, which is Black Moon Lilith is kind of this representation of the darker feminine, like the feminine that's rejected in the mass society, because it was Lilith is the bride that was intended for Adam in the beginning, but she ended up rebelling and not wanting to be tied down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really closely conjunct series here in Pisces. It's also this placement, this point in space is really close to the fixed star Fomalhaut, which is a fixed star in this constellation called Piscis Austrinus. And the whole thing with Fomalhaut is it's connected with the angel Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel. And Gabriel has a lot to do with the conception of Jesus and also just communication and things such as that. And that was kind of something I was noticing pretty heavily in your chart, is this emphasis to interact with people and like be a communicator. Does that resonate with you?
Yes. Yeah. Like I feel like I want to simplify this
Mhm.
wisdom, this, cosmic wisdom, like galactic truths about who humans are, that we come from the stars, we're divine, manifest order, every cell of our being, just like a star would be, but also like we're absolutely humans, and mortality is something that, and like I feel driven to share a coded message too, about also just like what it means to be people. But also I think like a little bit lately, like I'm kind of interested how it's related to like something like with Lilith, because it is kind of hard, like, to communicate with people. Kind of a little bit be, like I don't mind being like outside of people, and like I work better like that a little bit too, but I know I need to connect with people. Like, is it saying that that's something, because I started to try to have like more of a meditation practice so I can think about concepts like this, and like try to direct, prana energy flow to things like, communication, and also like, meeting people who have some more like of this like truth and wisdom that I need to interact with. And because that, communicating these ideas to people is, really what's motivating me. I have my job and like my life and stuff, but this book is, I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah, that Lilith in Pisces too. You know what's interesting is I actually have my Lilith in Pisces, I think on that same degree, I'm starting to realize. And one of my personal challenges is having confidence in what I'm saying. Because I think with Pisces nature, it can be easy to kind of like drown out yourself, almost like disbelieve yourself with your connection to higher source. And that's something that I've been really trying to like work on, is when I feel like sharing something, to like trust myself and not let this little wounded Lilith and Pisces be like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know about this mystic stuff. Like you're an imposter. It's like that's what Lilith and Pisces might be saying to you subconsciously, because there's a part of your like soul or something that occurred like earlier in this life as we were a child, or in past lives, where like someone it like put a lot of doubt in your ability to be connected to source, or maybe you've had like
or even
an
like
interesting relationship with religion growing up or something
April,
like that.
I'm gonna say the Annunciation, like that's when Mary is visited by an angel. And I think that, that's how I kind of relate to my book, both in a sense that, some of my research tells me things like, you know, the self-destruction on Maldek may have been guided by being a light planet, but you know, like Lucifer and like fallen angels are really light bringers too.
Yeah.
Angels are light bringers, and you know, so it's really a slippery slope that you know, I want to communicate in my book too, you know, and but also like with myself about having the confidence to talk to the angels, to listen, but also to talk about the experience of, you know, speaking with the angels. I think that gives me something to, you know, focus as a confidence point, you know, and you too, it sounds like, you know, like I think it's more than, yeah, like it's not a Lilith voice. It's like these are the voices of angels, and we should have confidence in that about things more. Maybe that's a good lesson.
Yeah. Also, one thing I was picking up on your chart, and even before I even looked at it, is like this like ancient dragon energy. So, you know, there's like the concept of reptiles, reptilians, and whatever, but there's also like the higher octave of those beings that are way, way older, which is this like dragon energy that has a lot to do with like Buddha and Zen and all that, like more Eastern involvement of religion. You had a lot of markings. I'm gonna change over my presentation really fast to show you what I'm talking about.
My dad is like a dragon energy. My sister's like a serpent energy. In these galactic time Mayan glyphs that I was doing for my book. So I put them as like the, you know, archetypes of those ideas, because they're is coordinated to those Mayan glyphs in their sacred calendar round. And I really started to connect with those ideas more lately, because the Mayans say that it's like a crocodile, dragon, serpent who's the sky god.
Yeah, I think it's Quetzalcoatl, I think is it, or something like that.
Yeah. Like the prophesied, you know, Aztec god is the sun god, the sun, the feather-tailed serpent, they call, which is also what they trace their origin to as coming from the comet.
Yeah, and I totally learned this recently. That like Maldek was like the 5-dimensional reality that the ancient dragons were existing on, and then there was like lower density realities all on this planet, but they were like calling it different names depending on like what density of reality you were existing on. And I found that kind of interesting, because that almost like makes all these different names that get thrown on the whatever the planet was in the asteroid before it was the asteroid belt kind of like all existing together, because it's like Phaeton, there's Maldek,
which are like the same names, but then also they say like when that civilization kind of collapsed, that maybe it came over as the Atlantean civilization, but then like Hopi, Navajo, Pueblo Indians, as well as Egypt, like so many civilizations say, you know, we came from like feather-tailed serpents in the sky, meaning comets or meteors. And then if you look at like recently, I mean, I just was looking at like where the biggest meteor craters are, and like I just thought it was interesting because like the biggest one in the world is from like right where Elon Musk was born, like in South Africa. And I was like, interesting. And then you know, the other one is in Arizona, like the Barringer crater, or like mound, the mound. And this is where the Navajo, like their sacred site was, where they say a meteor fell to the earth and their people came from this. And so, you know, I think like existing on other planes in higher energy fields is what, like, one of the keys, almost like chakras, to releasing what the Mayans call the two-headed serpent, or what yogis call, that, like, the kundalini serpent through meditation. I think, like, there's actually more to meditation and to connecting with these higher energies.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Like,
yeah.
Reading natal charts, analyzing your own cosmic reality. It unlocks automatically past, present, future. So all of a sudden you're existing, like.
Yeah. Well, then you're like connecting in reality with like where you are right now in this physical form, and then with your higher self that's existing in higher densities. And in some cases, you can consider that the future. And then you have like where you came from. Like we all kind of have like a degenerative form as well. Like that's kind of where this concept of gray aliens come from, is actually they're like a degenerative form of us as humans. They are us. So any extraterrestrial or interdimensional that we can perceive is a part of us. And when we do meditation and spiritual work, or tune in with astrology to, align ourselves with our heart-centered path, like you start to see all those different parts of you. And we also have like the ability to travel to outer space by going inside. Like there's quite an interesting play of words here when you think of outer space and inner space.
From my research, I've learned that this theorized fifth planet has 3 names. Those names being Maldek, Marduk, and Phaeton. For the sake of this podcast, I will call this fifth planet Phaeton. Phaeton was speculated to have existed and to have been destroyed long before telescopes and astronomers.